what if I'm not, if a US person and they're not up to date with their US taxes? Well, it really depends on the circumstances, but there are programs that operate. There's a program that is quite popular. There's an amnesty in all but name. It's called the Streamlined Compliance Procedures. So what it does, there's a look back period of 3 years for returns, 3 years to file tax returns for the years for which a due date has already passed. So even though you've been out in Dubai, you've been out wherever for the past 10, 15, 20 years, and you have not filed any returns at all. Unfortunately it happens. It's too often. Life gets the better of you and, it just doesn't happen, right? The IRS says, okay, once we haven't started any action against you, you come to us before we come to you. And in return for that, and assuming that the reason for your non-compliance is non-willful, would allow you to come in under the streamlined compliance procedure. What does that mean? So you don't have to go back all 10 or 20 years. You just file the last 3 years, which due date has already passed, which if you're doing it right now, we're in March 2023. The due date for 2022 hasn't yet passed, but for 21, 20, and 19, those have passed. So those are the last 3 years. So you go back, you file those last 3 years, for the returns is driven, the 3-year period is driven by the statute of limitations. And then you have 6 years for FBARs. FBARs stand for foreign bank account reports. So you need to report your accounts outside of the US, assuming that the maximum aggregate balance exceeds a certain threshold. And plus all the other reporting, the reporting returns, like for gifts or for the foreign companies or everything, and stuff like that. So you package all that. You work with your tax advisors. You draft a letter explaining your non-compliance, and you submit that package to the Streamline team. And once your non-compliance is really deemed to have been non-willful, that's it. You pay interest on whatever tax is due, but the good thing is that you legally avoid penalties, and as we mentioned, penalties can be pretty draconian, right? But yeah. So it can be pretty aggressive. If it is you have a company and you control a company, let's say in Singapore or Dubai, the penalty for not reporting that company annually could be $10,000 per company per year, right? That is, and don't think that the IRS does not levy that. They levy it all the time. They are pretty liberal. It happens automatically. So the point is that yes, you want to make sure that you consult with a qualified tax team, and if it is that you do qualify for Streamline, which you usually do if your non-compliance is non-willful, then you can submit under that package. If it is that your non-compliance is deemed to be willful, there is the offshore voluntary disclosure, which and the look-back period is a bit more. I think it's 6 years for returns and 6 years for the FBARs as well. It used to be 8 years, but it's down to 6 years. And you may ask, okay, so what's the difference between Streamline and the offshore voluntary disclosure? Voluntary disclosure. The difference lies around the concept of willfulness. It's not defined in the tax code. Right? There's nothing in statute. So I think most advisors and lawyers and accountants rely on case law, and case law tells us that if there's an intentional, you intentionally avoided a known legal duty. So there was intent behind it, and you can probably get into that with your advisors. That if there was intent to deliberately avoid or evade paying taxes, and there was a known legal duty, you knew what you were supposed to do, and you deliberately didn't do it, then you may need to look at a voluntary disclosure. If it is that your non-compliance is deemed to be non-willful, you go into Streamline. So most of our clients get into Streamline. But those who get into the voluntary disclosure because they were willful, we definitely work with lawyers on that. Because that is the penalties around that are much more aggressive. So there are real penalties. With Streamlined, there are no penalties, just interest. So we work with lawyers on that. Lawyers lead that one. On the Streamlined, lawyers can lead, but most times tax advisors, accountants lead on that. So it really depends on your circumstance. So I hope that helps. If it is that you have not been compliant, you need to catch up on your U.S. taxes. You can reach out to either ourselves or any qualified team of U.S. tax professionals, and they should be happy to talk to you and walk you through that process.
So So if you're a 6, 7, or 8-figure investor, entrepreneur, or business owner who needs a tailor-made solution from a qualified team of professionals, we can help you achieve the international lifestyle, the freedom, and even the tax savings you're looking for. Visit us at htj.tax and live that international life.